The video shows them come onto the front porch. One of them opened the screen door, nobody knocking, nobody announcing, boom, hit with a battering ram. The three of them go in, unload 29 shots, hit them 9 times. They render aid to him enough to get him to the hospital. They high five on the front porch and they say, that's a wrap. We're done. They're happy with what they just did. Unfortunately for them, Julian lived, and unfortunately for them, he found an attorney who was willing to go the extra mile and hold these guys' feet to the fire. We launched a lawsuit. We attached the video to it, showing the surveillance that they didn't knock, they didn't announce, and then we also released the evidence that his gun had not been fired. And we were hoping maybe they would dismiss the charges. But again, this is the South, and just like my case, in the face of a surveillance video, they did not dismiss the charges. They actually fought even harder. So during the depositions of this case, during the litigation part of this case, all of the officers were deposed and said they didn't do anything wrong. Some of them said it's not the law to knock and announce. Some of them stuck to the fact that one of them knocked. They just didn't remember who. The senior officers, the people who were in charge of the drug enforcement unit said, none of these officers did anything wrong. We're not going to punish a single one of them. And of course, SLED comes in and investigates. And of course, we all know about SLED at this point. They're the most corrupt criminal organization in the state of South Carolina. They are the most organized, and they collect the most monies from citizens. They use it to make sure that they continue defending cops that are being accused of doing something wrong, even in the face of stone cold proof. So SLED comes in and says, nobody did anything wrong, rubber stamp, who cares? And now we're in the middle of these depositions, and we've got all this evidence showing the contrary, and we start to realize, oh boy, this is either going to be a trial or these guys are going to have to settle for millions. I mean, this kid is in a wheelchair for the rest of his life over $100 worth of marijuana and lies of the police. We go and we settle the first part of the case for $2.75 million versus several of the officers that were there. Some of them were from different jurisdictions. Some of them were for different entities. Coastal Carolina, Horry County, sheriffs, and then of course the city of Myrtle Beach had an officer there, and the actual event took place in the city of Myrtle Beach. So we settled with a handful of the defendants for $2.75 million and continue moving forward against the one defendant, city of Myrtle Beach, and their officer. We're heading to trial. We're really excited. We know we're about to nail these people for exactly what they did wrong, and we're going to expose this in front of a jury. And then we settle the case for the largest total civil rights single plaintiff settlement in the history of the state of South Carolina. The total global settlement was $11.25 million. It was over $8 million that we settled against the city of Myrtle Beach and their officer. One of the things that was interesting about the case, and most notable about the case, is there was one officer on the scene who went against the grain and told the truth. This officer was known as the whistleblower. Without his testimony, it would have been hard to prove that this was business as usual. This officer signs a sworn affidavit and says that this is business as usual. This is how we always conducted raids. Nobody knew who was supposed to knock. Nobody who knew was supposed to announce. If there was shooting, that we all just lied and covered up for whoever was shooting. And this was total business as usual. And this is a city of Myrtle Beach officer. This is the only officer who's no longer a police officer. This guy was forced out, and now he does landscaping around the city of Myrtle Beach. And the city of Myrtle Beach officer, who costed the city $8 million, over $8 million. Not only was this guy not disciplined, but he was up for Officer of the Year within a couple of years of this settlement. Imagine costing your company $8 million. Not only are you not fired, but you are given awards or up for awards within a few years of the check being cashed. That's where we're at. That's what took place here in the Julian Benton case. $11.25 million. We held an hour-long press conference in front of all the local media, and we showed the depositions where they were like, didn't do anything wrong, business as usual, it's not the law to knock and announce. He definitely fired his gun. I don't care if you guys tested it and it's still full. They just lied the whole way through and nobody cared. Nobody. So we got the check and they're thinking these guys are going to go away. And I'm like, I got to live in this place. Somebody's got to do something. Somebody needs to come forward and say that, you know, this is unacceptable. It can't happen again. Nobody did that. No officials from the city of Myrtle Beach, no officials from DEU. Nobody said, hey, this is not going to happen again. It's like they gave a check and we're like, we don't really admit anything. We tried to hold their feet to the fire. I basically said Julian Benton's going to give a speech and all these people wanted to come, and the city of Myrtle Beach got really nervous about it. And they said, okay, you can meet with the mayor, and the mayor apologized to Julian. However, all of the officers were still rolling. There was no changes that to be made that were notable. And of course, nobody was disciplined. Largest single plaintiff settlement in the history of the state of South Carolina, $11.25 million. And I'll tell you something else. During this case, and by the way, Julian's charges were dropped for the shooting, of course, but during this case, I mean, I'm just a little guy in a town where they will come after you. So I brought in the biggest civil rights lawyers in the country. We established a powerhouse team and we took them down. But that's the only way that we won this thing. We had all this evidence, we had all of these lies, we had all these videos, and we had the best team that you can imagine. And so it makes you wonder, what else is going on in this state?